Dead Men Tales is brought to you by SupplyHouse.com. Heating season doesn't have to be hectic season. You can get repair and maintenance parts from industry-leading brands delivered quickly to you with SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com has a large, well-stocked inventory of over 300,000 parts and offers free shipping on orders over $99. Trade pros can join the Trademaster program for free shipping, a dedicated customer service phone line, lower prices, and more. Shop now or learn more at supplyhouse.com/trademaster. That's supplyhouse.com/trademaster. Make this heating season easy with supplyhouse.com. From heatinghelp.com, it's Dead Men Tales. I'm Dan Holohan. Steam and hot water heating joined hands a long time ago to make up what we today call hydronics. Both systems run on water, and they've been around for hundreds of years. The Institute of Boiler and Radiation Manufacturers coined the term hydronics in 1946 to make the science of heating a building with water sound sexy, like electronics. That word, electronics, had been with us since 1900, and it was all the rage in the booming years just after World War II. Most hydronic systems are probably older than your parents, and those systems have seen changes throughout the years. The results of some of those changes were probably painful because everyone gets to work on hydronics. System knowledge is not a prerequisite. A lot of stuff got made up as they went along. Where to place the circulator when it finally showed up, how to size a radiator, how to rate that radiator. That last question has a delicious history. How to rate that radiator. Nowadays, we use the term equivalent direct radiation, or EDR for short, to rate radiators. It wasn't always that way. The first radiators were flat iron boxes. Back then, they measured how much heat came off each square foot of flat surface and called it, not surprisingly, 1 square foot of radiation. Keep it simple, right? But as time went by, things didn't go as planned. The folks selling radiators found they were having a tough time convincing the women of the house that what they needed were these sheet of plywood-sized radiators hanging on their walls. I read about that in a very old book. Sales were tough because when Mama no happy, nobody happy. And that was as true then as it is now. So our forefathers began making radiators that were smaller and more attractive. But the challenge was surface area. They needed more of that, and they solved the problem by wrapping wire around the radiator pipes. That gave the air more hot places to touch as it moved by convection across the radiator. But how do you measure the square footage of a radiator that is no longer flat? These new ones had more nooks and crannies than a Thomas's English muffin. They thought about this for a while, and some person whose name is lost to history came up with a brilliant solution. He got a large vat and filled it with paint. He weighed the full vat and then dunked the radiator into the paint, allowing the paint to flow freely over the hydronic English muffin. Then he hoisted the radiator out of the paint and let the excess dribble off. Next, he weighed the vat again. Whatever was missing from the vat was now clinging to the outside surface of the radiator. Brilliant! Now all he had to do was use that much paint by weight and paint the floor. However many square foot of floor space he could cover with paint became the radiator's square foot rating. I don't know if he used a brush or a roller for the paint job, but that's how we got the term equivalent direct radiation. Years later, others came up with better ways to measure EDR. They weighed the condensate for steam radiators, and they analyzed flow rates and temperature drops for hot water radiators. I will forever think the paint guy was cleverer. Some radiators work with both steam and hot water, but the EDR output will change because steam is hotter than what we commonly use in a hot water system. The standard output for steam radiator is 240 BTUs per square foot EDR. That rating applies only when the surrounding air temperature is 70 degrees Fahrenheit and there's about 1 psi steam inside the radiator. But if you run that same radiator with an average hot water temperature of 170 degrees, the output drops to just 150 BTUs per square foot EDR. The cooler the stuff inside, the less heat goes to the outside. Keep that in mind if you're thinking about converting a system from steam to hot water. One of the nice things about steam is that it's a gas that has no noticeable static weight. That's not true for liquid water. The higher you stack liquid water, the greater the pressure gets down there at the bottom. This is why you'll see steam radiators in structures like the Empire State Building. Height matters when it comes to water weight. In even taller buildings like One World Trade, aka the Freedom Tower, they use steam, but not at the radiators. They transfer the steam's latent heat to water using shell and tube heat exchangers placed strategically throughout the building. Each heat exchanger connects to an independent hot water system that serves vertical floors, but not enough floors to make static pressure an issue. The steam comes from Consolidated Edison, the largest steam district heating system in the country, actually in the world. Oh, and steam is fast. The design velocity in most steam heating systems is 60 miles an hour. In the typical hot water system, the water chugs along at about 4 miles per hour. You could probably walk that fast. Steam is lighter than air, and air is lighter than water. That makes a difference when we compare the two sides of hydronics. When steam enters a radiator, it wants to go right to the top. That's why on one-pipe steam systems, we put the radiator air vent halfway down the radiator on the side opposite the supply valve. This is to keep the steam from immediately shutting the air vent too quickly. We want to give the steam a chance to work its way into more of the radiator, and where there is air, steam will not go. In a hot water system, the water flows by pressure differential, and the lighter air will go along with it, often getting trapped at the top of radiators, which usually don't have automatic air vents. It's best to catch that air at the boiler with a good air separator. That's where the water is hottest. Hot water can't hold as much air in solution as cold water, and that's another plus for steam. It doesn't need an air separator. There's also no need for circulators with steam. When steam forms at 0 psi pressure, it expands about 1,700 times. That's what makes it head for the radiators. It's looking for air vents. These days, we're looking to save electricity, so we're using a lot of smart pumps that ramp down when zones close in a hot water system. The slower speed of the ECM motor saves money, sure, but steam moves by itself. The only thing standing in its way is air. And if you balance the venting, the steam will move from the boiler to the radiator at highway speed. Steam systems also take advantage of latent heat, which you can't measure with a thermometer. To change 1 pound of water to steam, you have to first get the water to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and then add 970 more BTUs per pound. What you wind up with is steam at the same temperature, but 1,700 times larger than it was at liquid. It races out of the boiler and toward the radiator, condenses, and gives back that latent heat. Hot water systems use only sensible heat, so pound for pound, steam wins this one every time. And just so you know, the Empire State Building gets by with about 1.5 psi steam on most days. It's not about pressure, it's about heat transfer. An event that affected both sides of hydronics took place after the 1918-19 Spanish influenza pandemic killed 50 million people. The boards of health across the U.S. mandated that people leave their windows open during the winter because that flu virus was airborne. You couldn't have enough fresh air in those days. I learned about this while reading heating texts written during the 1920s. The books referred to the fresh air movement, which made no sense to me until I learned about that horrible pandemic. This is why both steam and hot water radiators of that era tend to be so oversized. The Great Depression arrived and people began to close their windows. Those oversized radiators now put out way too much heat, so the National Bureau of Standards ordered a study that learned that if the top coat of paint on a radiator was aluminum bronzing, the radiator's output would drop by 20%. And if you paint over the aluminum bronzing with, say, black paint, the rating goes right back to what it used to be. This is why most radiators of that time have that silver color. And again, it applied to both steam and hot water radiators. Hydronics is definitely a green way of heating. Few people install steam these days unless it comes from a district heating system such as New York City's Con Ed. The steam business in buildings with boilers is about replacement and repair. It is a very profitable, non-growth business, and it can be very green if you take the time to learn about it. Hot water heat, the other side of hydronics, is a smaller portion of the business these days, going mainly into higher-end buildings. This is a very profitable growth business, and also very green if you take the time to learn about it. The rest is up to you. Learn about it. I hope you enjoyed that tale, and if you did, please share it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast. I have many more Dead Men Tales to share with you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thanks.